Starting off with, let's start off on the light note, because I saw a comment, Joe Iwokwe, criticizing Ekweremadu's son for the flamboyant wedding he had. I mean, the wedding was talked about over the weekend. We had, friends of his parents were there, sitting and past who is who, came around for the wedding. Visibly absent, his dad in prison, by the way, and then the mother, all of that. And, it felt like still talk. And he was one of those lone voices who to criticize and felt perhaps he should have done low-key, quiet, given the circumstance. But what's happened is happened.
Yes, I know what has happened, but Kim, I don't know about you, except, as a parent, you are okay giving that consent just to make your child feel like, what, nothing is amiss.
Yeah.
Just because we're not here does not mean that cannot go on. But if I were the child, I will think about what my parents are going through, and I am not sure that I've had a talk of the town wedding, because at the end of the day, Kim, every parent want their child to have. What we want for our children as parents is for them to be happy. That's the truth. But it's not a good place family to be in. There's a sister who, is dealing with kidney problems and, battling for her life. And there are parents who locked up, in prison. My heart goes out to the Ekweremadu's, honest, because being a parent, you know that you're almost able to do whatever it to save the life of your child. So I'm not going to go into how they did it or what, everybody has an opinion, really. But what we're talking about today, could the whole wedding have been low-key, my opinion, and this is strictly my opinion, really there's no good way to handle a bad situation. Honestly. So, but if it were, probably will not make a wedding so loud. And I think who are marrying would understand, court wedding, a small reception at the house with very close family and friends, should have done it if me. Really, but like I said, we celebrate differently. They could have had the permission and the blessings.
Perhaps the parents are like, you have my blessings.
Just do it however makes you happy. Honestly, we really can't judge the family because it may be a way of coping, a coping mechanism for the family. That let's celebrate one thing. Let at least one be going well for us in this family, and that could also have been the reason why the son decided to go out and have the
because
wedding.
It might be their intention to make it talk of the town, but people did talk about it. There were a lot of pictures and a lot of who came around and trying to understand the circumstance of it. And in Nigeria, we like to go out for things like this. Yeah. But I also would see the part of people who are saying, given the circumstance, perhaps it had been low-key. It wouldn't have taken any away.
No, it wouldn't have.
They were still married.
They still would have been married. I've still shared the moment with those who are close to them, who are the closest to them.
So with all, we wish them a happy married life.
Absolutely, because again, Kim, no matter what happens, life goes on. Even if it's about a death, life will go on.
I was going to come to that, like, death so final. What if they had lost a friend or two?
Yeah.
Perhaps it would have changed things a little. Maybe the consolation is, he's still alive, even though he's in prison. He will come out one day.
Yes.
In the pictures. Hopefully there will be a baby or two when he comes
at the time.
So I was looking at the bright side, but a lot of disagree actually. Or one thing we all agree on is that the ministers need to hit the ground now that a good number they've won their oath of office. And expectations are really high. People were concerned that it was taking too long to even bring out the ministerial leave. We followed up with the drama of greening and then followed up the developing story of someone not confirmed and designation of former Kaduna State Governor, leaving him open for Kaduna State, and the swearing in. And the interesting part, the who is who went to what ministry. So got a lot of people talking. And there are a lot to unpack from. Let's start off with the FCT. We've got a very fiery personality coming in.
That's the word.
The FCT minister. A lot of people were quick to call out the previous minister. He was a little quiet, not much imprint in the FC, and who always take you back to Aerof and said he's one that left an indelible mark in the capital, the federal capital, as the FCT minister. And people saying just maybe Wike might be the man to up the ante a bit with, he's for as Mr. Infrastructure. Flyover 1, flyover 2 project, flyover 1, flyover 2, and all of that. Perhaps that energy will bring. But let's start off with that personality and the federal capital. Some people were thinking, since we had some of FCT nominated as a minister for the first time. Would have been him, but at least it's a good that someone else came in. And a long time we've not had Itodo come in as the FCT minister. So that's another perspective. How much do you see? Oh yes, no crystal ball.
Let me start with my way here.
Yeah.
How cows blocked my path. Driving down to the studio. How they took like 4 minutes of my time clear off the road. KFCT is the Federal Capital Territory. A home. It's the image maker, if you like, for Nigeria. And there are some things should not be in the FCT, including having cows all the expressway and every single part, every nook and cranny. In my small local Goma or on the expressway, I will jam cows and I will have to stop, So for me, you said something, Kim. You said that fiery person like Wike. What else do you think FCT needs, considering the minister we had? In fact, at some point, I forgot we minister in the Federal Capital Territory.
People are mixing up his name.
Yes,
because,
people not even know who the minister, was at the time. The truth is that we need someone who's fiery. We need someone who is unapologetic. We need someone who can take the city, who can make the Capital Territory what it's supposed to be. I don't know about you, Kim. I drive in the night now. It seems that it is darkness, pitch black, every part of the Federal Capital Territory that's go to. And I'm wondering, my goodness, I'm afraid to drive in the night. There's no place that is lit. You're told that there are, red zone areas or avoid these places for security reasons. Should avoid everywhere at night, right in the Federal Capital Territory.
Also petty and mugging and stabbing.
And this has been happening a lot, even between 7, 8 p.m. when it's not so. So, I think, former governor of Rivers State, yes, some week it's the bill. My opinion, however, we will learn to sit down a notch. This is not his village. Let me put it that way. This is not.
You can't teach an old dog new tricks.
You may not be able to, but he will need to accommodate people. Because again, just for the reason why the Federal Capital needs to be the Capital Territory in terms of infrastructure, in terms of sanity and serenity, the same reason, some week will also need to turn it a notch, because you'll be dealing with people. This is a ministerial position. It's not, a governorship position, or it's not your.
I mean, there's a stark difference. I hope he understands.
That is also exactly very important that he understands that there is a difference. That's in the Federal Capital Territory. We don't have governor. The Federal Capital Territory, if the indigents have been asking for mayor for the longest time, the mayor, there's no governor. There's a minister who wears, who wears a cap of the federation, with the bang of the government of the. So he's got to turn a notch and learn to get along with people. It's not everything that goes to that goes, that we want live discussion on television. But I do understand that people respond to issues in different ways. However, I think that Mr. Nyesom Wike is capable
of the job. I saw he was about to take his oath. He got a resounding applause. A lot of people like his energy, and perhaps also the politics of it, given the fact that he's from the primary opposition party and being nominated. Makes it even more a man to watch in this administration. Some people have also gone out to say, maybe putting him in the 80s, limiting also his impact, because FCT minister, you can't go to Rivers State and say I'm a minister.
Politically, yes.
Politically speaking.
Yeah, politically speaking.
It's like a boxing. But the president today said, not a minister of your region. You're a minister of the Federal Republic. So I think he can still go around with that and say, Minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Minister of the FCT. And still have nationwide presence. He comes off like that person. But bringing us back to the FCT, I mean, there's some critical areas. You're talking about the scene dark at night. The former FCT minister, 8 years. Some people, critics, I think, retrogressed to the FCT. Not a lot came up from there. To want to be fair, would say things that you can.
I can't see. If I'm honest, Kim, I cannot see how I must mention the fact that I noticed that towards the end of this administration, of the Buhari administration, all of a sudden, I started seeing movement, I started seeing infrastructure, roads being on for since 2015, when the Jonathan administration, the projects that had been ongoing, all of a sudden we started seeing movement, like 3-4 months to the end of the Buhari administration. I'm like, if you could do this all along, why wait till now? An example is the Galawa roundabout. That project has been going on for as long as I have been in the capital territory. Wow. And that's over 14 years now I've lived in Abuja. Some of these projects, a lot of them, and I keep wondering why the minister have to wait. Had the money all along. Why did he have it? So that was the only I could see. We had issues with things, traffic lights. It's not working in a lot of places, streets not functioning in a lot of places.
Becoming hot for criminal activities.
And these are, I don't know. For me, it's like you have low-hanging fruits. If I was in the position of authority, I'm going to take advantage of the low-hanging fruits, these things that these problems that are easy to solve. Yeah. Very easy to solve. Make an impact. Let people say, oh, the whole Abuja is well lit. Every Abuja, it seemed like it's enough project, don't you think?
So that's the least you can expect from the federal capital of Nigeria when people come around.
We didn't see that happen. We didn't see that at all until the tail end of administration. And I'm wondering, why?
A lot of people who would agree with you because they called eyewitness report of the city is dark, is manhole cover missing. Why isn't this happening? As a matter of fact, it was just a couple weeks back that some people started pointing out, we streetlight function in some, of the capital itself, the Abuja itself. Aside from that, you want to also ask yourself if places like, Buhari are no longer important, like the area councils, places that are outside central part of Abuja. Yes, we'll be quick to call the area chairman to question as to what they're doing. But the onus is still on the FCT because it's the FCT, not Abuja. So it means area council need to have some real growth to match what's happening in Abuja. So it's something to look at if we pull that off when it comes around to see how can we grow order of the FCT.
It will be good for him because as a reporter, I had covered Federal Capital Territory for a couple of years, and there's always a difference. Difference was always clear. Once you leave the city center and you go to Buhari, you go to Kubwa, you go to Lugbe, you go to Karu, you go to some of this place. It's like you have left the Federal Capital Territory. You go to Gwagwalada. It's another world entirely in places, and you're wondering why is it so? We cannot continue to concentrate, infrastructure development, development. Only city center, it doesn't make sense. Trying to make our urban and rural areas, bring them to where those who are in the urban areas are comfortable, those rural areas, at least the basic, the basic things, the basic necessities of life, good road, water, good healthcare system work. We go to some of these areas, some of these, area councils, and you see that even the primary healthcare centers are dysfunctional.
We'll take it off from this point after this very quick break. For a break, we'll be back with more. Stay with us.
Abuja, our mic is always on. That's why we give a microphone to take your business to a high level. Get your branding to a household name in.
Hello, my name is Kimberly. I'm the host of Heart, and I bring you the biggest stories driving conversation every weekday here on 95.1 Nigeria Info Hard Fact Show. I love to get your opinion and conjectures, but the facts you cannot dispute here on Hard Facts. Join me and let's talk.
This is Nigeria Info. Nigeria Info. is Nigeria Info. Nigeria Info. This is Nigeria Info. This is Nigeria Info.
I totally understand what you're talking about. You come into the fair, see some level of development, it looks fancy, and then you drive 15 minutes out city center and you see a contrast from what you have seen, where people don't have potable water to drink in the FCT. They do not have basic infrastructure in terms of the structure and the buildings you see, no good road net to those areas. I mean, I was also visited a community with an organization and people were still taking water from this. Like, there should be some privilege, aside from 25% voting right that claiming in Abuja, that you live in the city should come with some bit of comfort. In my head, the capital at the end of the day. You also talk about primary healthcare centers, which is evidence. You travel to some places and you still wonder, even right under the nose of
Mr. President.
Exactly. Still there. So we'll see what happens if he can, rabbit tricked developing the FCT beyond the whole rhetorics of infrastructure, where they're already doing a lot of work going on.
You know, this is another reason why I think that Mr. Wike fits the bill, to be the minister. He seems to enjoy projects. He seems to be a person. He seems to be quick to, embark on projects. And the fact that, he completes most of them. He's interested in leaving a mark. So for me, that's a good place. However, it will be good to see rapid response. I think it was Dutzaji I went to one time and was in shock came. I could drive through the road. I got to that junction. Do you know why? The Okada riders are there, the keke, the place so rowdy. You know what it reminded me of? Not even Oshodi of today. Oshodi of back then.
Oh boy.
Oshodi of back then. So crowded, so congested. And a lot of people come from these places into the city every to work and return to places because, of course, people cannot afford. A lot of people cannot afford the exorbitant rents, in the city center. So they live in the outskirts of the city and work in the city. So Mr. Wike actually has work cut out for him. It's going to be how far is we to go. That's just what he can. The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory.
We'll keep our fingers crossed and see how it pans out. The minister was all about shutting down activities after 7 p.m. for security reasons and the like. Mr. Yusun does not strike me like the one who say no.
No nightlife. I don't think so. But Akot is big on nightlife.
Someone ought eyes and to overhyping Wike. Rivers is not Abuja. He has every try to deal with here. The Babalawos, the chance gang, the house thieves, dirty streets, rural communities. So it's trying to say maybe Abuja might be a bit more tricky for Olaf.
We did say it, when we said the conversation, why we have said that we think he has the capacity, to do the job because of what he has done in Rivers State. We're saying that it's not the same thing. Not the governor here. It's a lot of people, a lot of rent, cadre and level of people, politicians to indigenes to, non-indigenous Federal Capital Territory to business owners to there's a huge set of people that the governor have to deal with. And yes, he's going to have to tone it down enough to calm down and to people the way that, expect the Federal Capital Territory
to talk with people with decorum. Given the fact also that, when you're elected and when you're appointed, there are people you have to run a lot of things. You're not the executive governor, CEO. So when it's the legislation of the FCT, you have to run by because you're not a governor of the place. So it would be nice to see how he navigates those things. He's a man who likes to take charge. Now you have to answer to certain people.
And that's the tricky part. Does Mr. Wike have that capacity to answer to people? But then again, he grew in politics from being a local government chairman. He also had a stint as Minister of State for Education before he became governor of. So I'm sure he's had experience, While we don't overhype Wike, we're being factual and just dealing with what we know and what we have seen him do. By the antecedents, making our inputs. Simply that.
All right, then. Rombo says, no doubt the new FC Minister, Chief Barrister Wike, CON, would do well to sanitize the FCT. It should focus more on infrastructure, environmental sanitation provision, proper management of the interest of the indigenous people of the FCT. Elut says, great to see a woman in the program today. I agree with you. And Zaid Omar says, from Gwagwalada, please, Wike should come on for Gwagwalada market. It's been neglected for over a decade now. Agonsi Benjamin Chukuma, Makova gets stolen and causing damage to lives and vehicle. Well, I think it's the minister will, when he comes around, why they continue to just steal them. Trust you're good. Welcome to our incredible guest. Thank you very much. Okay, good afternoon. Concerning the new ministers, I'm not expecting any development from them. It's business as usual, listening from ICA. And Wike has an office, so he was live on TV earlier in the briefing in his usual fashion, where he laid out vision and plans to sanitize the FCT. He touched on salient issues like the dam part of Abuja, stolen manhole, tile transportation. He promised alternative transportation, which we so desire. Amongst other deliverables, our minister is fully here. We have high expectation that this is Masokoro. I can see people like, okay, just make Abuja light rail. We'll see live on him.
Oh my God, that thing is going on forever. With every administration, what I'm hearing as a reporter back then was that in 2 years, in 9 months, and here we are, decade after. We're still the same sport.
Really. Good afternoon to our guest, Kim. Good afternoon. Honestly speaking, I would have loved Wike's energy depended on the energy sector, not the FT. Maybe that would have put an end to that in Niger. I hope he would not embark on a mission without heart, Sarah. I hope from the, it's something that people in Abuja always worry about. Who is the demolition man that is saying? And, you know, people have distorted the Abuja master plan degree where if you want to enforce it, it means moving certain people. Yeah. It'd be nice to see how he manages that also.
At some point, you have to be circumspect. We cannot. We have to understand that we can promote illegality with legality, you know. So we have to understand that while my heart goes out, I don't ever want to be in that position where the house, and for whatever reason, can also be ignorance, not knowing, you know, and use your hard earned money and build a home, and then it is demolished. But I think that, you know, the new city minister now will be able to balance this, find out if it means that resettling, you know, compensating them and compensation. Don't demolish heartlessly, and then you shouldn't have built there in the first place. People an alternative. Give them time. I know people always hope that, they will forget. I know that, but if they, you know, an arrangement made to compensate them. Look, you go from here to here. We will get a new place. This is all you have to do. So the government, this administration has got to think about that. The FCT minister has got to think about that, because Nigerians are suffering too much to add divisions to part of what they have to go through.
Well, let's move away from the FT and look at others. And we'll get to this coming from the special advisor to the president of media and publicity, Anjorin Gilale, where he said President Tinubu has approved the redeployment of Momoh from the Federal Ministry of Youth to the Ministry of Niger Delta Development. And recall that August 16, when the president released a list of the ministers and their portfolios, was assigned to the Ministry of Youth, while the former governor of Osun State was designated Minister of Transportation. Also, Bumi Tunji Ojo, who was previously assigned as the Minister of Marine and Blue Economy, is redeployed to the Ministry of Interior. Saido Alkali, initially designated as the Minister of Interior, has been assigned to the Ministry of Transportation. A president spoke to both ministers of state in the oil and gas sector, now domiciled in the Federal Petroleum Resources, while Epo, who was named as Minister of State Gas, Petroleum, is now Minister of State Gas, Petroleum Resources. Heineken Lopobiri, previously appointed as Minister of State Petroleum Resources, is now the Minister of State under the Petroleum Resources also. And added that Tinubu also the renaming of the Federal Ministry of Environment and Ecological Management, the Federal Ministry of Environment, changes are with immediate effect. And then also about the redeployment to the Ministry of the Delta, in which got some people talking. I think I need to get the name of the Abuja Momoh for that.
Niger Delta.
So you start to ask yourself, this minute reshuffling, what included? Because at one point people were interrogating the list, looking at certain personalities where they fitting, and the number of the ministries we have. If it's now taking the two ministers of state under the Ministry of Petroleum, that collapses it a little bit to ministry. We'll get it, but there'll be two ministers of state. In one ministry. It'll be interesting to see how it pans out, because I don't think we've had gas enough in Nigeria. So perhaps just someone to focus on gas. It's a good move.
It's a good move. Just like you said, if to have some focus on gas, because one thing we have not done in fact, is there any done really, besides her saying, we have always these people with incredible potentials, and it's been difficult to move all of our sector from potentials, from being sectors with great potentials to actually tapping, those potentials and putting them to use. For me, it's not, I expect to see things done differently. But on top of, this person is a lawyer, shouldn't be in this position. This person is an engineer, should probably hear. And Kim, I don't know if you studied in the university, but you do that. Not many people. Not many people.
And I'm sure it's not mass
communication. But here you are, and you're doing a fantastic job at what you do. Do you understand? So I don't necessarily think that based on your qualifications, but the fact that you're a lawyer, you should be in the Ministry of Justice and all of that. It depends on what you experience. And this is where we are lagging behind. We're still people who think that our certification would help us get the job done. Everywhere else around the world today, Kim, it is what can do. Simply your skill. Yes, your certification and qualifications are good, but what can you really do? If we ask you to use your qualification now to probably run organization, can you do? Can we really do it? If we ask you to use your experiences, over time, and the skills that you gathered over the years, you can be sure that person will be home, because this is something that they have tried it, they know it, they can do it, and then they go and do it. So for me, round pegs in round holes, time will tell, actually. Time will tell. I don't know why, the president has shuffled or reshuffled the ministerial list this time. But I want to believe that he has some information in front of him that we don't have, that has informed, his decisions at this point. So time will tell. Time will really tell. Having those two, a Minister of State focused on gas, that's a welcome development. I don't know what you came, but I think I like it.
In a place where we still flare gas, waste it, and it's an untapped read, I don't think we've really explored enough. Given the fact that we have a lot of deposits. It would be nice to see this Minister of State is capable of doing ministry now that it's there. And then even the petroleum itself. Yes, NNPC is now more likely commercial public enterprise. Refineries, well, we're still waiting for December, the Port Harcourt refinery to work. We'll see what the Minister of State Petroleum can do different from what others have done.
Kim, my heart is heavy when we talk about our refineries. Always so saddened. What's really more painful is the fact that, the refinery moribund is the fact that trillions of naira still go into maintaining refineries that are not functional. I don't get it. If we want to talk about our refineries, there's so much to be done. There's so much to be done. It has become a white elephant project over time. It has become a white elephant project that does not seem to have a head at all. And that's really sad, because if an individual or if an individual organization, Dangote can build a refinery, and all we have to do is, to life into the one we already have, where infrastructure is still in place. I know a lot of them would have gone comatose. However, you have the structure standing. You have something, your place to start from. You have something to start with. And we haven't been able to do that. 6 refineries. Fingers crossed. Really.
Fingers crossed. And we also see the ring concerning the modular refiners who have the licenses. There's just a lot that is expected in that particular area.
I am very hopeful with those modular refiners. You know why? Because these are owned by individuals. When there's ownership in it, it's easy for you to put everything that have in it for it to succeed. That is where the game changer come from for us. If the government give licenses to this modular refinery and begin to allow them to actually function, just like what we have now, where the pump price of petroleum products determined by market forces.
Exactly.
The same thing. If that does happen, it will certainly go a long way. We cannot continue like this. I think that we have said it too much, but also seems like we haven't said it enough. We cannot continue. Our source of earning is depleting. We know, Nigerians are veins. We have the problems, we have the answers, we have the solutions.
Exactly.
We also have those who can effect those changes. The problem is there will
to do it.
That has always been the problem.
We do have a will problem, actually, because you find some level of brilliance and then it fizzles out. You start to wonder, is it the tea or the water, the drink that just takes it all out? And talking about that brilliance, the man, Mr. Momoh, is from Edo State. They do have the refinery going on there for the Niger Delta. There's a whole lot to it from the Niger Delta ministry. The last minister left with pocket loads of controversy around NDDC and all whatnot. So we'll get to...
It is always very controversial.
I know.
I really don't understand it. This is the one ministry that deals with the problem of the Niger Delta, but cannot deal with the problems of the Niger Delta. And the Niger Delta people are swamped, myriads of problems.
This is the region and you get to see it. Like, this is the source of all of this. And yet,
and then the people are living in abject poverty, penury.
Yeah.
They cannot fish. They cannot farm. They don't sustain any particular of livelihood. And there's a Niger Delta ministry that should have helped to alleviate the sufferings of people. But administration after administration, I don't know what the problem is and how long it will take for people who put in, leadership positions to say that, look, it's not about me. It's not about you. It's not about you. That office is not your own. That money, not yours. I don't get how you send someone on an errand. He takes over everything. It becomes so difficult. You cannot reach them. You cannot talk to them. They will not do their job. And nothing happens. And people continue to their own lives improve. So for the life of me, I really cannot understand why the Niger Delta ministry is always in just neck deep. One problem after the other. One controversy after the other.
Well, we'll get to see any difference with the new minister on board addressing some of those grey areas. Looking at some critical areas like the clean up and all of that is under their purview. The last administration, even though they mentioned it's going to take 2 years, but we'll get to see what imprint will be left.
It's going to take 20 years. You do know that a journey of 20 years starts with only one step. They started. Have they taken one single step? And I'm sure years has gone by. For a 20-year journey, you have wasted 7 years. What's been taken? Can the effect of... We know it. We all know that the cleaning up of the environment is not going to be easy.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that. But what are you doing now? What steps are being taken?
Quite important. If you're tuning in, it's the Roundtable, and our guest is Senami Ohiomakhare, helping us through some of the big stories driving conversation. I see your comments. We're live on Facebook and YouTube at Nigeria in Abuja. You can leave your thoughts there and also leave your thoughts with us via WhatsApp on 009-9930-17. Just before we get to the phone lines, let's touch base with ECOWAS and Niger Republic. The Economic Community of West African State has rejected a 3-year power transition plan proposed by Niger Republic military Junta. Abdel Fattah Musa, as Commissioner for Political Affairs, Peace and Security, spoke on Sunday in an interview. And in the late night address on Saturday, the Niger Republic's declared head of state said the country returned to civilian rule within 3 years. The coup leader gave no detail of the plan, noting that only the principles for the transition will be decided within days at a dialogue to be hosted by the junta. Our ambition is not to confiscate power. Transition not exceed 3 years. Meanwhile, political parties tried to submit their vision for the transition within 3 days. The junta leader spoke after the ECOWAS delegation led by Abdulsalam, Nigeria's former head of state. Now, reacting to Tiani's proposal, said ECOWAS will no longer a prolonged transition period in the region, that ECOWAS is not acting it, and they have to get ready, hand over in the shortest possible time. The earlier they give power to civilian and concentrate on their primary responsibility, which is defending the territorial integrity of Niger, the better for them, and that the military aspect is very much on. So,
Kim.
3 years.
And ECOWAS. 3 years is a long time. I do worry, but last time I checked, what are the powers that the ECOWAS have over in nations, over in states? You have to ask yourself that question. In as much as I understand what, the ECOWAS is trying to do, but you have to interrogate some things. Why is the ECOWAS adamant interfering in the, who in Niger? We understand what they said. Yes, Niger has to, democracy has to, hold sway in Niger, all of this and all of that. as a person who lives in a country, the first thing you want to ask, democracy is the government of the people for the people. ECOWAS ask the people what they want. Does the ECOWAS know what the people of Niger want? What is the interest of the West in pushing ECOWAS to get Niger Republic back to democracy? Don't get me wrong. Any military rule anywhere sets the country back. Is it better, to have a country that is at war, or have a country that has, some cool leaders who have said we're going to, relinquish power 3 years, or continue to negotiate with them and allow for some peace talks to continue, keep that table open, continue to have that conversation with the coup plotters, and have it somewhere you can easily come in at every time if they can see the sincerity or purpose of ECOWAS. What is ECOWAS' purpose? Talking earlier, Kim, you mentioned, what about Burkina Faso? What about
Mali?
What about these countries? What has ECOWAS done with this country? Why, ECOWAS has its fang in to Niger, and we must ask why.
It becomes a bit curious as to...
It becomes a bit curious as why. Not that we don't understand, the need to have democratically elect, government officials. We understand that, but the coup has happened. It's happened. The best way to go at it is to continue leave the door of negotiations open, convince, the coup plotters to go back to the barrack and hand over to democratically elected individuals. Because, trust me again, the democracy in Africa is also questionable. You have government who are in power for 20 years, and they're running a
people who would tamper
democracy.
The constitution of their country to allow them
to continue to
run,
stay on in power. Is that the kind of democracy that ECOWAS is pushed for? Where government becomes a family thing. It becomes monarchy. So it's my family, my take over, or the person dies in office and his son takes over. It's democracy, really.
But people would argue and say this one is an intense muscle fight, a fist fight, to say it depends on who wins at this point. It will also say something about the ECO, if how they manage this, pointed out, fangs on, and if they do not play their cards right, it might just weaken that regional bloc. It is set up for economic reason, but we know that they have a protocol to addressing issues around democracy and the likes of it. However, how manage Niger Republic with what happens in the region afterwards? And people that say, they're just toothless bulldogs, just there. Or they have to be reckoned with in the region, such that he steps out of line.
But what are the of the ECOWAS? Really? What is it? Do they have the right to interfere? Yes, I know, like you said, you can negotiate, you can have these conversations. And the countries that are going to war, a lot of Nigerians, I was watching a documentary or a special report recently about Ilela, the border town in Katsina to Niger. And a man talked about how his wife has been in Niger since, the border town has been, closed, and his wife cannot make it back into Nigeria. Now, the situation where Nigerians marry to Nigerians, but sure you heard that rhyme between Nigerians and Nigerians.
Exactly.
So it's we have come a people together. What affects Niger certainly affects Nigeria. Is war an option? Is war an option? I do understand ECOWAS will want to, how they handle this, determining how they are perceived.
Yeah.
What is perception without emotional intelligence as to what really is the best way to deal with this problem? Already, trade, commerce, family ties are already being stimulated in Ilela. And I'm sure it's the same thing at the side of Niger as well. Because Nigerians have families there, Nigerians have families here. Now talk about our former president who has ties also with Niger. So we want to be very careful. It's not just showing power and puffing up, because the truth is that, like Itodo, whether ECOWAS agrees or not, ECOWAS is really a toothless bull. Maybe that is why ECOWAS will make a statement.
Or perhaps also the wave the coup is going on. Someone needs to interrupt, and it just has to be ECOWAS. Where do you start from if not the regional? Before AU comes in and the EU and whoever to say what's going on in Africa. Why is it gaining traction, this whole thing going on?
What about directing question to governance in Africa? Maybe if governance in Africa is better than what it is now, we won't be seeing schools. Maybe if we'd have democratically elected presidents who are staying on in power for eternity, the military will not be in taking over power. Maybe the people of African countries, have better government, are governed better, and they have structure, they have better life, they have education, and they don't, you're not strangulating themselves to travel out of the country to jackpot do in Nigeria. Maybe, just maybe, there will be need for coup d'etats like the one we're now seeing.
He's there. Well, let's hear this caller before for a quick news break. Hello.
Kimberly.
Good afternoon.
Both you and our guys. Happy New Week.
What you saying?
I said this was not the weekend. Honorable Minister, off your mic. You see, this very ECOWAS. ECOWAS. Look at what happened. Say one leads to another problem. One problem leads to another. That is what we are seeing there now. We are not praying for that thing to happen. Now it's due for that kind of a thing, but we are not praying. But what the coup was blessed. Nobody killed. The Africa leaders, 39 people killed in Niger State here, officers. They are killing in Plateau State, in Borno State, in other places in this country. What have African leaders to do in order to strive to help Nigeria be in the giant of Africa? You see, so these people are fighting for their safety rights because of fuck, whereby they don't take care of business. Are you aware that even the Nigerians, they are jubilated, they are happy for what happened?
All right.
Please, they should not go and kill innocent people.
All right, thank you very much. We appreciate it. Hello.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Alice.
Go ahead, comrade.
Yeah, congratulations for it. But what are you in the UK? You don't have the tendency, how is that chance to consider FCC? They're supposed to give FCC chance. That these people have been crying for time. They should give them space to control their places. They are the one, their area more than anybody. They are not now, when we give them we can now, for record, the way you do in the PDP, and when you want to achieve something, you block him, you go to another extra mile to destroy the ship. So I don't trust PDP as the minister. For instance, now let us go into it. My brother, when they are about Niger. Now people, they're very. Hello?
Hello, hey, quickly, we need to run for the news briefly.
The best military government is the best more than civilian, because now when you see the time of Abuja, it's okay. In Abuja, our economy is okay. Now, I mean, it's down. We are suffering.
All right, thank you very much, Comrade Salisu. Let's go on a quick break, and to wrap it up, our guest is still pretty much with us. Stay with 95.1 Nigeria in.
Talk about the biggest conversations made of trustworthy ideas, passionately connected to every.
Hello, my name is Kimberly. I'm the host of Hard Facts. I bring you the biggest stories driving conversation every weekday here on 95.1 Nigeria Info Hard Facts Show. I love opinion and conjectures, but the facts you cannot dispute here on Hard Facts. Join me and let's talk.